Hey everybody, welcome to this latest edition of Snow Talk. This is Wave 3 News meteorologist Brian Good on this Sunday night. Going to update you guys on our cold front coming our way and how things are looking in the longer term, as I always do. I'm also going to be filling in for Kevin. He is going to be on assignment here the next several days, so I'll be here in the evenings all the way through about Thursday. So you'll get a chance to see more of these video blogs in the evening versus in the afternoon like they normally are. Alright, so 72 today. Not a record, but man, it felt nice. I hope you are soaking it up. Even right now, it's warm out, and I hope you're soaking that up because it's going to change in a hurry. First off, as we always do, here are the stats. They have not changed since last time I saw you guys. 3.7 is our season total, which is still above normal. On the board for tonight, all of these are just a half a Twix bar on a scale of 0 to 10 of significance. And some of these are not even worth half, but I'm giving it that for all three at this point. Got tomorrow and tomorrow night. Thursday morning, I'll talk about that, and still looking at mid-month, close to mid-month, for our next chance for wintry weather after the Thursday event takes place. On the radar tonight, look at the rain expanding now to our west, and Bedford down to Jasper, get ready. This is the main cold front, and the rain's breaking out. No lightning showing up, but some heavy rain at times might wake you up tonight, and this band is going to slowly work its way to the south and east and should be along the Ohio River. Very close to, say, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, the way it's looking. So, spotty showers between now and then, but this is the one, the band of rain that'll drop your temperature drastically once it passes overhead. In fact, we've already seen that in Illinois. Look at these numbers. This is a 3-hour loop. Look at, say, Mount Vernon. Look at the temperature 3 hours ago, 63, and they're now down to 45. Nearly a 20-degree drop in just 3 hours. And St. Louis has now already had the cold air play, but Paducah, get ready. It's about to hit you, as well as Evansville. They're in the 60s now. They're about to see a good 20-degree drop when this front passes through there. And yes, that's exactly what we're expecting here when the front arrives later on for tonight. A water view shows how much colder air this is up to the west. I mean, this is chilly air all the way from Des Moines to St. Louis. The thing is with this Arctic air mass, I mean, the cold front itself has placed itself from areas of Ohio all the way down into northern Arkansas. This front is going to work its way to the south and east and track itself more east and west as we head into tomorrow night into Tuesday. It'll stay there and then eventually lift back to the north as we head into later on this week and become more of a warm front scenario. But when it's hovering around us in the next couple of days, we're going to have waves of rainfall. They're going to track along this front. And we've got to watch that carefully on the northern edge where that Arctic air is sitting across the Ohio Valley for anything wintry that can take place. Very challenging forecast, certainly when it comes to the details. Although nothing significant is showing up in the models when it comes to wintry weather, it doesn't take much to cause some panic there. Freeze and rain advisory is already in effect for the Ozarks heading into southern Missouri and Illinois near Paducah. They're expecting freeze and rain to develop in the next few hours as the cold air continues to move in, and this band of rain actually begins to backbuild more into Arkansas, and that will take place tonight. So here's how the front's going to impact us. Hour by hour. Overnight tonight, it'll move in, say, around 5 or 6 here in Louisville. The drop will take place. We'll see 30s in Indiana, still holding on to the upper 50s in our southern counties when you wake up in the morning. But in Louisville, we will likely be in the 40s when you wake up. 20 degrees colder than where we are right now, in fact. As the front continues pushing off to the south, as we head into 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Here's what's interesting. At this point in the day, there will be one of those waves riding along the front. And this looks to be a significant wave developing around midday, early afternoon Monday. And that'll be the one to watch that could pull down some cold enough air. We could start to see some sleet mixing in here, even as early as the early afternoon hours in Louisville and southern Indiana. Some sleet will begin to mix in. The Futurecast, the RPM model, is trying to hint at that pink shading. But we'll watch that. And again, we're above freezing. So travel problems, not expected. It would just be something falling from the sky that you would hear bouncing around. As we into Friday evening, this wave pushes off to the east in eastern Kentucky and Ohio. Precip really begins to ease off across the Ohio River Valley for the Monday evening rush. Still some areas of sleet, maybe a snowflake or two. I'll explain why that's a little more hard to come by, but more sleet than anything mixed in with some raindrops, drizzle, just sloppy, really, for Monday afternoon, Monday night. But a lot of the moisture will begin to escape the atmosphere. And again, we're still above freezing in this zone. As we into 8 o'clock, same scenario. Some sleet, rain work its way further to the south, where the best moisture will be. And while it gets colder up here to the north, you dry out in all layers of the atmosphere, so nothing really is likely to fall for you guys even as we into Monday night. Here is the experimental GFS. Here's Louisville right here, located in the middle of your screen. This is the afternoon. It's picking up the same idea of a mix that will take place. And as we get into mid-afternoon on tomorrow, it's picking up. It's showing snow, but I think it'll be more sleet than anything that mix in. A very narrow band. But again, it's not going to be significant. But I know anytime we say anything frozen, everybody thinks the worst-case scenario around here. But for sleet, if it comes down light and you're above freezing, very little, if any, impact. Snow, same ordeal. Freezing rain usually means that you are at the freezing mark at the ground level. And as long as you're right around 32, most of the roads stay wet. It's going to be trees, power lines, porches. Those can get slick. And that's why we got to watch for freezing rain, even in drizzle form. That can become more significant even at light it mounts. Right now, I think sleet's more of an issue than freezing rain or drizzle. So that's kind of explaining that. All right, here's what we look at, the soundings here. Looking again at the ground level, here's way up in the atmosphere. The green line is your moisture. The red line is temperature. What I want to point out here, without getting too scientific, is I look at the area that snowflakes will have the best potential to develop. We got to get ice crystals to form snowflakes. And at this layer, it looks the best opportunity will be, I would say, about 10,000 feet up or so. As we get into the atmosphere, you start talking about the potential here for some warming to take place. We're above the threshold, which usually is around -4 in Celsius, to get snowflake potential to happen. So it doesn't look very likely. It's marginal to get a snowflake to form. You got to have the crystals to form, and if you don't have the crystals, you get nothing but a pure raindrop that falls. And notice the warm layer. This is the 0 degree mark, the rain snow line, basically, if you will, all the way up the atmosphere. And notice we go above or to the right of 0 for a lengthy period of time. And we look to see more than, say, 2,500 feet of a warm layer thickness that takes place. You have a chance to, certainly, if you get an ice crystal that forms, it would likely melt in this zone of the atmosphere as it falls. But then notice we go back left of 0. We go back into freezing mode here, closer to the ground. That is usually how you get sleet. You get a raindrop or a snowflake that will fall through the sky. It gets into the warm layer. It melts into a raindrop, but it goes back into the colder layer of the atmosphere, freezes to an ice ball or a sleet pellet, that's what we call that, and then hits the ground. What we have to watch for is this warm layer. If it's too close to the ground and then it goes back into freezing right at the ground itself, it doesn't have a chance to go back into a pellet. It stays in liquid form. That's what we call freezing rain. It touches an object and freezes on contact, and that's why we get ice storm potential from. This is showing me that's very light precipitation overall, and it's very, very marginal when it comes to freezing rain. More than likely, we're talking about sleet at this point. There would be a more likely scenario based on the sound in here. This is from the NAM, and that's what we're looking at. So hopefully I didn't talk over your heads too much there. I just want to explain that we have to look at that kind of data on a tilted form when it comes to precip type, more than just a map like you're seeing here, which is the experimental GFS. Here's Louisville. This is for Thursday morning. Another wave tries to move in, and we're going to watch that. The trend has been to try to produce more wintry weather on the leading edge, especially north of 64, early Thursday. It's just a chance right now. We'll watch it. Then after that, no more freezing rain, snow talk. It's rain, and potentially a decent amount of steady rain starting Thursday night, especially into Friday and Saturday. 1 to 2 inches of rain possibly moving through the area of the Ohio Valley as we get into the upcoming weekend. A soggy forecast for sure. Something we'll watch. Looking at the indices real quick. Overall, the Arctic Oscillation is hovering still around neutral, although the Europeans trying to drop it below in the coming days and weeks. The NAO showing fairly neutral altogether, so there's not a lot of significant blocking. The PNA, though, is showing a large positive swing here on all the models, which means the jet stream is likely to take a much more of a rise in the west and more of a dip into the east. You can get a blocking pattern, but sometimes it can be very extreme blocking. In other words, our systems come in from the northeast instead of northwest. Very interesting setup. We can certainly see as we head into November. Now, we do have a typhoon that could be developing here. In fact, the models take it to a typhoon, Category 3. As you all know, when we get recurving typhoons, 7 to 10 days later, it usually means cold weather in the east. But here is the kicker. This is the jet stream. Look as we head into December how strong the jet is going to get in the Pacific Ocean. I mean, this is a whirring jet. This will likely disrupt any type of recurving typhoon theory and likely limit its impact on the United States. It's a possibility anyway. That's what we're looking at. But this will likely send warm air into Canada, into the west, and it may very well stretch its legs all the way to the east here. In other words, when I said cold air comes from the northeast, you get a warm bubble in this area, and then your cold air actually retrogrades backwards and clips the Ohio Valley and out to sea. So it's kind of a very odd-looking cold snap that comes in that way from the northeast and clips Kentucky and then moves out. But that could be the kind of blocking that we will see as we head into December. That makes wintry weather very much a challenge when we see that kind of a blocking pattern. All right, that's it for right now. I'll see you tonight after football.